Hello everyone, it's that time of year again where I forget to haul anything for like 6 months and then collectively haul a bunch of books that I've acquired in the past 6 months. It's quite a lot. I legitimately don't know how many books I have to show you today. I know it's an upwards of 30 books. Shadow of Deception by Sophia L. Jackson. I was sent this by the author for review, and I don't know much more than the description actually says, but from what the description said, it sounded pretty cool. More review books I got were Salt and Stone by Victoria Scott. Funny thing about these books are that I contacted Victoria Scott way back when, before this book came out in February, and I was like, hey, so I don't know if you remember me, but I interviewed you at RT Book Lovers Convention. I would love to get an advanced reader's copy of Salt and Stone so I could read it and review it since I loved Fire and Flood so much. And she was like, no problem, I'll forward this on to my publicist and we'll get talking. They sent one out and it didn't come for like 3 weeks, and I emailed her back and I was like, hey, I still haven't gotten my copy of Salt and Stone. This is really weird and I really wanted to read it before it came out. And she was like, you know what, I'll just send you another one in the mail. This didn't come for another like 2 weeks, and then they both arrived like a month later together, not in the same package, but like both packages arrived at the same time. And so I was like, oh, I wonder, I didn't get a second book. So I opened them both and I was like, oh, it's both copies of Salt and Stone. Another review book is Nyteblayde by Garrett L. Robinson. This book looks really cool. Like, it's a fantasy, and the girl's eyes on the front look like Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. The back reminds me of Twilight. Like, the red and black and the font just remind me of Twilight. The next two books were Bookbusters Book of the Month, For Real by Allison Cherry, and Extraction by Stephanie Diaz. I really enjoyed the both of these. I don't have a review for either of them. I probably should. Like, solid 4 out of 5 star reads for me. The next book I got from my school's library. They were doing a contest every day for a week where you entered your name into a basket and they would pull it and you could get some old books from the library. The Twilight graphic novel, and I was so happy when I saw this because I am a huge fan of Twilight. I'm not even ashamed to say it. They were my childhood. I had a Twilight school bag. I wrote Twilight fanfiction and I actually turned it in for a grade and got 100 on it. I love the drawings in it. Look, sparkling. Look at it. Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. And then I read this book and I loved it so much. Oh my goodness gracious. Like, it tugged at my heartstrings and I cried. It was just so different than most of the contemporaries I've seen. It's about misfits. I went to my state science fair a while ago. I went to the school's bookstore and they have a Barnes & Noble on their campus actually. And so I went into the teen section and I picked up 3 books. I'm only going to show you 2 of them because the third one has a little circumstance surrounding it. So I picked up The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard and I Was Here by Gail Forman. I have read each of these already and both were really great. I have a Red Queen book talk already, so I'll link that here and down here. You can go check that out. I think I read I Was Here in April and it was an emotional roller coaster of sadness and glory and wonder, and I think it's Gail Forman's best book. I have read If I Stay by Gail Forman, Just One Day by Gail Forman, and I Was Here, so I haven't read the various sequels to each of those, but I've heard they're just retellings of the same story, but like in the guy's perspective, and so I don't know if I'm going to read those. If I Stay was like a solid 4.5. Just One Day was like a 4-ish out of 5 stars, and then this one was a 5 out of 5 stars. Amazing, you need to read it now. The third book I bought at that bookstore was Fairest by Marissa Meyer. Now, as you may know, I adored Cinder, I adored Scarlet, I loved Crest, they were all just blah, so great, and I can't wait until winter comes out in the winter. So I bought this book, and I completely forgot that I had entered Fierce Read's Lunar Chronicles competition thing, and the first prize, like the grand prize, was to go meet Marissa Meyer at a book signing. First prize winners got a signed copy of Fairest and a poster. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to be doing a giveaway for the non-signed book because I would really want to keep the signed book because it's pretty. Look at this. Look at it! Join the Resistance, and it's got Cress on it, Cinder and Scarlet, 214 Rampion, class 11.3. Very recently, in wake of the movie that has just been released, I bought Eleanor on the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. The movie trailer looked so good. It looked really Wes Anderson-y to me, and I adore Wes Anderson films. He's my favorite director ever. If you haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, or The Grand Budapest Hotel, or Moonrise Kingdom, you need to now. His films have such a distinct style, so I was like, yes! Yes, let's go see this movie, let's read this book. Come to find out, they're not showing Eleanor on the Dying Girl anywhere near me. I read this the night before I got my tonsils out because I couldn't sleep, and I was like, this is so good. Oh my gosh. And so this was like a 5 out of 5 star contemporary read for me because it wasn't cheesy. I know a lot of like books that deal with cancer run the risk of being cheesy or like trying really hard. It was just so good. I had a 20% off coupon at Barnes & Noble. I went on their website and I was like, let's click through these, and I found a book. It was a hardcover and it was $12. And usually hardcovers are like $18 in store, but on the website they're sometimes like $16. But no, these hardcovers were $12, and I was like, maybe this is a fluke. So I went and I checked. Practically all young adult hardcovers were $12 to $13. I wanted to cry, and I was like, yes, yes, let's do this. And Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir and A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Both are very, very new fantasies. I have heard very rocky and mixed reviews of both, but they both seem really awesome. I haven't even opened this book yet. It's so crisp. But look at it, it's got a map on the inside. Let's see if there's a map on the inside of here. No. Yeah. I love maps. I love me some maps. Then it allows me to visualize everything. Next, I have the contents of my first ever and only ever book outlet order. The Winter's Curse by Marie Rutkowski. I picked this up because Sophia from the Book Basement raved about it. Most of the books I pick up are because she loves them, so I just picked them up because I know Sophia's reviews are like spot on. The cover of this is beautiful. I think they're getting better at doing the girls in dresses on covers, because usually it's like
them looking over their shoulder longingly, and her hair's fanning around her face and she looks smolderingly at the camera.
Fangirl. Oh, this was so cute, you guys. I fell in love with it, and it took me a long time to read because I had vertigo, and so the words were kind of swimming on the page, but I was like, no, we're gonna read it. And it was so good. I can totally imagine it as a quirky, new, cute, contemporary film, and I don't understand why it isn't being made into a movie yet. I could totally see like the real world parts being real world, but when she was writing stuff, I had this vivid image in my head of animation, but not like straight animation like Disney and Pixar do, but like hand-drawn kind of stuff. Instead of them talking, it would be Kath reading the Simon Snow fan fiction and like her various voices. We have a book that may very well be my favorite contemporary of all time, Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. This book was adorable. And it's so pretty. Look at them. They are eating ice cream. I want ice cream. I cried, I laughed, I smiled, and I wanted to hug the book every time the main character started to get out of her comfort zone and gain happiness and confidence, and I was just like, oh, this is so good. I want to read all of Morgan Matson's books now. Oh my gosh. Let the Sky Fall by Shannon Messenger. Gabby read it and really, really enjoyed it. Sounds cool. The cover looks pretty awesome. Let's see what it looks like without the cover. It's pretty. It's a pretty color. I like it a lot. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This was the last book I got on Book Outlet for that Christmas order, and let me tell you, I have heard nothing but good things about this book. It's about villains, and who doesn't love super villains? Because I do. I love them. Reading about them is fun. On BookTube, you may know of the fabulous Cassidy from Cassidy Von Shea. If not, I'll link her channel down below, and I'll link a video we did because we collabed a couple times because we live pretty close to each other. She actually sent me some books for my birthday. The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is a huge hardcover. I have been waiting to read this for so long. Look at this. Look at it. Look at it! Publishers who do fancy things underneath the covers of their books are doing it right. I can't wait to read this because I am obsessed with really any time period between 1900 and 2000. I will read anything. The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan, and I am so excited to read this because I've read the entirety of the Percy Jackson series, but I read the Percy Jackson series way back in 4th grade, and that was 5 years ago, and I remember very minimal amount of details about that series. I've already reread the first book in the Percy Jackson series, so I plan on rereading the 4 others very soon so I can start the Heroes of Olympus series because it started and finished, so I can marathon all of them at once. And then around Christmas time, Cassidy was getting rid of some books, and so she texted me and was like, hey, do you want any of these? And I was like, of course I do. Unwind by Neil Shusterman, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. I have read the Hunger Games series. It's okay, chill, but I don't own them. I don't own the Hunger Games, and so now I own in beautiful hardcover copies Catching Fire and Mockingjay, and so I can reread Mockingjay before the movie comes out in November. So I read this book back in December. That's how long I've had it, and that's how long it's been since I had a book haul. My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins and written by all of these fabulous authors. It was so cute, and it's such a good contemporary. Rainbow Rowell's story was so cute. Like, it made me want to read everything she's written. My cousin, for Christmas, gave me this lovely book, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and it's actually the signed edition from Target. Now I have John Green's signature For Christmas, my dad and stepmom got me both of these books, and I was so excited because I wanted to read them so badly. Crest by Marissa Meyer, which I read in January and adored, loved it. Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. I have yet to read this, but this is the sequel to Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I have a book talk on that, so I'll link that down below. This is huge. It's even bigger than the first one. I don't remember anything from Daughter of Smoke and Bone, so I'm probably gonna have to reread Daughter of Smoke and Bone before I read Days of Blood and Starlight, because it's one of those series where you can't go into another book not remembering anything, because if you do, you'll be like, now we have some coverless bad boys, because we do. My friend Erin didn't have any of the first books in this series, so she was like, just take this, because I'm not gonna read it, and I don't have the first two. So I was like, alright. Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. I don't own any of the Twilight books. I read them all from the library when I was really young, and so now I have Eclipse, and this is probably one of my favorites in the series. So having this made me really happy, and so now I have it, and even though it doesn't have a cover on it, I still have it, and I still feel like, Twilight, part of my childhood. The Host by Stephanie Meyer. My mom gave this to me. I think she had just had it, and like, I actually already have a paperback copy of The Host, but the hardcover is so much prettier. I mean, like, not that it has a cover or anything, but it's nicer because the paperback copy is the mass market paperback, and it's like tiny Walmart edition, and it's cracked and gross. And I adored The Host, so are we getting a sequel anytime soon? Because The Host has been out for like 7 years. Is she even writing it? Where is Stephanie Meyer? Did she fall off the face of the earth? My friend Caitlin and I this year decided to swap books. She wanted to read The Book Thief, and I wanted to read this other book, Night by
Eli Wessel?
Eli Wessel, if you want to be American, but I think he's German.
So I want to say like Wessel. Eli Wessel.
Butchering it, I'm sure. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have 3 books that I got from a fabulous bookstore called Half Price Books. I am sure you've heard of it, but I don't have any half price bookses where I live. I went to Texas with Gabby very recently, and they had a store, and we spent an hour and a half browsing, and I almost bought like 9 books. Flipped by Wendelin Van Dranen, and oh my goodness, this book is so cute. I keep calling all these contemporaries I've read cute, but they are. They are. This book was actually made into a film, and I remember seeing it a long time ago, not knowing it was a book too. I read this in like 2 hours on a car ride, and I cried so many times while reading it. And I don't cry while reading books usually, but I've been crying at everything I read lately. I don't know, I guess it's being a teenager or something, but this one was so cute. And Half Bad by Sally Green. I haven't heard much about this book. I've heard really mixed reviews on it. Finally, I think this one deserves a drum roll, so
Therithmatist by Brandon Sanderson.
This is my first ever Brandon Sanderson book, and I'm so excited to venture into what everyone thinks is amazing. I have yet to pick up any of his other books, but I wanted to pick this one up because I believe it's a children's book. I know he writes really like heavy, high fantasy stuff. I don't know if I'm up for his heavy, high fantasy yet. This is the middle grade book, so I can venture into his middle grade fantasy and probably soak it up better and not explode from the awesomeness. This huge major haul is probably going to be the last I have for a while, because I'm saving up to buy a new camera, so I won't have any money for books in the coming future. I am Maddie. Thank you for watching. If you've read any of these books and you want me to read them soon, tell me down below in the comments, and I will comment back to you and probably pick it up, because I don't know what to read right now. I'm just like all over the place. I don't know what to do. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Don't rub my neck. Don't rub my neck. No! Why do paperbacks have to be so slippery? Okay, this one's more doable. I forgot there's books there. Yay, I did it! Oh god.